Hello, gamers, and welcome to Xbot and Pony, the show where every week we just geek out about video games and generally just try and figure out something to make fun of each other for. My name is Phil.
My name is Nick.
And I'm not a tech guy. I have no idea what people are talking about. There's this like console war nonsense going on between PS5 and Xbox Series X, and it's the SSD can do this and the GPU can do that. They're just letters. I have no idea what you're talking about. All right, absolutely no idea. But Nick is a bit of a pro, and he does know what he's talking about. So, Nick, I'm just going to ask you to clarify for me a little bit. First of all, what is an SSD? What does it do? And does it make any difference?
Makes a huge difference. I think the first thing we can talk about is Microsoft had a hybrid drive on an Xbox. I had so many different versions of the Xbox One. I had the Day One edition. I had the Elite console. So you have Elite controllers. There was an Elite console. Had a hybrid SSD drive. So solid state drive. Mechanical drives are different. They spin around. Your solid state drives, you can access the memory on the drive wherever you want. It's not mechanical. It works completely different. And Microsoft had a hybrid, so it had a very tiny little SSD drive for the operating system in there to make the system boot up faster and basic apps and run a bit quicker. Your games didn't run from that. Your games still ran from the mechanical part of the drive, so it was a hybrid drive. Good for booting up the console quicker, and that was pretty much as far as it went. Most gamers and people on PC will tell you that a solid state drive it's better than sex. It's just the best thing in the world.
That's the sort of stuff that I was hearing. That apparently developers were begging next gen consoles to have
an SSD.
It would make a huge difference to how they make their games. So what does it actually do to help improve the quality of the games?
Obviously, load times are going to be incredible. We've seen there was a Spider-Man demo out there. They showed you Spider-Man on PS4 remaster running on PS5.
Eighth of a second or something to load up.
Huge, huge. And Microsoft showed off State of Play. Microsoft's also got, which Sony hasn't confirmed yet, but I assume they do, multiple states. So they can actually load or save a game. Anybody running emulators on a PC would know. You can save a state of a game, and it takes a screenshot, so to speak, and that game stays exactly where it is, and you can load it back up. The mini NES and SNES had that same feature. This is going to allow us to do it with big games. So you can play 4 games at once. Basically, it'll just load that game and save it exactly where it is, and you pick up where it is, and you can go into another game, and then you go into another game, go into YouTube, whatever you want to go into, and they're all there because the solid state drive runs so much faster than a mechanical drive, and it can access stuff whenever it wants. It doesn't have to search on the drive or spin around to get to a certain part of the drive to locate it. The perfect example is Sony showed off was the example they gave was Spider-Man. So swinging around crazy, and there's this tiny little blue mailbox, right? You know, that's an asset. We'll call that's an asset. So it's an image or multiple images, and on a mechanical drive, you need to have that image multiple times in multiple places. So when he goes from one corner of the map to the other corner of the map, and he swings in and it comes in a frame, it pops up because the game's telling it you need to have a mailbox here, pop it up. But it can't be on one spot, because if it was one spot, it wouldn't appear. It wouldn't be able to find it quick enough. On a solid state drive, you have one mailbox, and it doesn't matter where you are in that world, it will load that one mailbox pretty much instantly. And that's probably the best example of what an SSD can do in game. Sony is pushing a huge...
Well, that was going to be my next question. So Sony's obviously been the one that's been like, this is the reason to come to us, right? Because we've got this SSD. And Xbox hasn't, from my experience, doesn't seem to be pushing it as much.
No.
Is there a difference between how those two companies have approached their SSD? Does it make a difference?
It will make a difference. Yeah, that's definitely going to make a difference. Sony's SSD is going to make a difference. It's hard, again, to say how we're going to see this difference, because it will most likely only be on first-party games. They really did push it, and to be honest, they pushed it because all the other specs were lower than Xbox. GPU, CPU, they're a little bit lower. The SSD is much faster, and there's none on the market at that speed yet. for people to buy for their PCs. So it is a big deal. It's a very fast SSD, and it will improve load times. So load times will be better on the PlayStation 5 compared to the Xbox Series X and Series S. They've both got an SSD in them. The difference it's going to make, and I guess we're looking at Ratchet and Clank and say the Medium on Xbox. So there's two games we can compare there, where they're pulling in assets so quick from different worlds at the same time. Those type of games are going to be the ones that show you why we need an SSD besides load times.
See, that Ratchet and Clank demo was probably the one that made... That's the first game that I've seen for next gen where I kind of went, ooh, that's honestly different. Right? And it was that sort of instant transporting through worlds. And it came out that was the SSD basically, showing off.
You won't see that game on the PS4. Technically, it's not possible on the PS4 like the others exactly. And it does, as I said before we recorded, how important is the SSD if Horizon's coming to PS4? And it will be, but not straight away. We're not going to see a huge difference besides load times instantly. Further down the track, when we're getting full exclusives, not on PS4, you'll see a huge difference in game design around the SSDs. Microsoft isn't as fast. It seems Sony's got a similar thing they've just announced to Microsoft's architecture, velocity architecture, which is compressing textures and being able to send them, because they're smaller file sizes, they can send them quicker on the SSD or access them quicker, but they are compressed, similar to how a movie gets compressed when it's put on the internet or ripped to our computer from a Blu-ray disc to a DVD disc, or an MP3 from a CD, to uncompressed audio to compressed MP3. Our ears, it's very hard to tell the difference, but the file size go from 40 megabytes to 3 megabytes or 7 megabytes. That's a huge difference. Movies go from 80 gigabytes down to 20 gigabytes. There's a huge difference in size, which means you can throw it around a lot quicker, sending you a file.
And you can probably correct me on this, but I've heard there have been people that have been claiming that actually games next gen are going to be smaller than the current gen ones because they're being compressed more. So is that what's causing that? Okay.
Yes. So the SSD will allow them to, again, the mailbox. You don't need 30 mailboxes on a mechanical drive from Spider-Man. You just need one mailbox. And then you can use this technology that Sony's just announced. I can't remember what it was called, but our friend Scott has just told us. He's got a whole bunch of stuff. Kraken. So they're calling it Kraken, and it stopping this SSD from bottlenecking from the RAM and stuff. So it's very technical, so to speak. But bottlenecking is something where you're using something too hard. Say you're driving a car really fast and you're revving really, 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 really high. If you go any higher, it's going to blow up or it's going to slow down. So if you bottleneck, everything starts to slow down. So you don't want to bottleneck. So this is to prevent anything from bottlenecking. So it's OODLE technology for PS4 and very similar to what Microsoft's doing. We're compressing the textures, making them smaller. Our eyes can't really tell that they're compressed and the quality isn't as good because it's a very, very small reduction in quality, like a JPEG image compared to a uncompressed image, same thing. And it allows the SSDs to obviously access them quicker and throw them around quicker and move them around because they're smaller file sizes. And it saves space on games. So I think Microsoft come out and said all games will be about 30% smaller than Xbox One. So you'd assume the same for PlayStation. We're going to be seeing about 30% reduction in sizes. So Gears 5 on Xbox One was 20 gig, and then it comes in 17 gig on Series X, but it looks better with better ray tracing and everything and better textures, which is crazy. So you're getting better quality but a smaller file size, and then all those files on there are accessed very quick because the SSD, not being a mechanical drive that spins, it can access it like random memory whenever it wants. It can just go, yep, there it is, bang, I got it, and you don't even notice it.
So the other thing that I've been hearing about is this: there seems to be some sort of argument going on between the tech heads here. Is that they're talking about expanding the SSD, right? So that Xbox isn't only going to have, is it 500 gigabytes on launch?
For the S, and then 1 terabyte for the X.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. And the PS5 is going to have 825.
So they're all different sizes. Yeah, very stretched.
And so Microsoft have been revealing that the Seagate ones that they've been
they've gone
that are proprietary,
similar to Vita, which
upsetting people
very bad.
already.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
bad for Sony in that
but
regard.
and the prices are what, three in Australia, like 300 and something
Nine.
dollars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
So
And I've heard on the other end, the Sony SSDs, the ones that you would require to upgrade, aren't even on the market yet. Not
they're
really,
not. And
and would also be really expensive. So what does this mean for consumers in your opinion, what like moving
well,
forward?
obviously, we'll have to wait until those drives for Sony are on the market. It seems that with Microsoft, and we discussed this a little bit before, you walk into JB Hi-Fi, EB Games, you buy it on the shelf. So a lot of places probably won't have these hard drives to sell. They'll be selling PlayStations, but you won't be able to buy your hard drive from them, which is very confusing. It seems to be confirmed that it's not replacing your hard drive like you did the older PlayStations. It's an extra slot. So you just buy another 1 terabyte. And if you look online on Amazon and all that, they're around 250 USD, and they're not up to speed. They don't match the speed required for the PS5. So that translates to around the $340 mark. So it's around the same price as the Seagate memory stick, we'll call it, but it's still an SSD hard drive inside a case, and you just plug it in the back of your Series X. I think most people can't afford that. It's hard to fork out the money for the console to begin with, and then your games on top, regardless if you're going the cheaper Series S and you get
Either
Game
side,
Pass.
yeah. Like if your
It's
console's 300, $400, and then basically that cost again to actually have some
well,
decent memory,
we've
that's a
seen that
hard
on
sell.
Switch, haven't we? I mean, I have a 400 gigabyte SSD card on my Switch. They're pricey, and that was my choice to go that big. I get that,
But they're going down in price, right? And they're pretty universal, right? They're not proprietary.
Multiple people are making them. You can get fake ones on eBay.
As we've discovered, yes.
And I'd assume this might happen with Microsoft as well. That the biggest issue with Sony is once these drives are out, how do they tell people these are the drives you have to get? You have to go to a computer shop or Amazon or wherever. I mean, EB Games and the rest might start stocking these drives specifically for the PlayStation. I assume that would be ideal. I believe Sony will probably market with a company similar to Seagate. They might go WD, and they'll have WD, which will have a PlayStation 5 logo on a hard drive and say this is PS5 compatible. They'll have some marketing scheme out there to let the general consumer know, because they have to. If somebody goes and spends $300 on a SSD drive and it's not fast enough, they're not going to be very happy with Sony, and they won't get the messaging wrong. They'll get it right. In time, it's going to be pressure on Microsoft and Seagate to drop those drives in cost, because Sony's drives on the general market will most likely drop in cost as well. But if anybody thinks Xbox is going to be more expensive than Sony, not initially. No.
Over time, that stuff will come down.
Over time, I believe Sony will be cheaper.
Can you use a mechanical drive with those consoles?
So you can. So it's very complicated, and it's very complicated. Sorry, Garfield's trying to hang up on us, I think.
Hey, Garfy.
So you can play your older games. You can store your new games on these drives. So I've gone and bought a 5 terabyte in preparation for my Series X, which will probably come next year. I don't think I'm going to jump yet, especially with Resident Evil possibly coming to Xbox One. We'll see what happens after Chrissy, but yeah, I'm prepared. I've got a 5 terabyte there. I can then load games and store them on that 5 terabyte, and then just copy them over when I'm ready and go from there. Speed, though, is probably going to take a little while to copy games. I think you're looking capped at 250 megabytes, 250 gigabytes. I can't remember exactly what it is, but if it's USB 3 transfer, then yeah, it's going to be a bit of a slow burn. In saying that, they've said that the games are going to be a bit smaller, but imagine having to transfer Call of Duty back and forth, 200 gigs or something, 150 gigs. It's a fair bit. So I think most people will be doing that. We'll be transferring. I'll be transferring. I won't be buying an extra SSD upgrade to begin with, which is going to be a little bit difficult, because a lot of my games I own on Xbox are going to be automatically upgraded to the Series X version straight away, and my hard drive will fill up pretty quickly because of all the free updates we're getting. So yeah, they instantly turn from Xbox One games to Xbox Series X, which means I can't play them from my mechanical drive.
Okay, so that could cause some issues for some people as well.
I think so. And both companies are going to be in the same boat. It's it's a very weird way to do it, but we needed SSDs, and both companies are doing it differently because they do. Sony, I can see why they didn't go Microsoft's route, because it bit them in the past.
Well,
And
yeah, the
no
PS3
one
is
to
the big
blame.
one that jumps out to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had a great console there, and they forced us to pay ridiculous amounts of money for the memory cards, and people didn't like that. So I don't think people are going to like it this gen either. In saying that, you can delete games, you can copy games over, so there is options. There definitely wasn't with the Vita. There is options, and we said before, I think the S is going to be a bit of an issue. A 500 gigabyte, it's not much. The 1 terabyte's not much, so 800 is not much. They will fill up pretty quickly. All three.
And I think so. Just again, the layman's sort of gamer here doesn't fully understand this stuff. I did upgrade my PS3's hard drive, and I also upgraded my PS4's hard drive because I was having that problem. My PS3 originally was the cheaper model, it was the 40 gig one. That did not take long to fill up, all right? And I put a terabyte one in there, and it is brilliant. It was really, really good. But even my PS4 now has got a 2 terabyte one in there, and that one, I've reached a point now where I'm starting to have to uninstall things and put things into it.
I was rocking 5
so
terabytes.
2 terabytes for a PS4, and then the PS5 is only going to be 800 gigs. Yeah, I'm seeing that. You're going to fill that out really, really quick. And we've said this before. Games like Warzone are now like 200 gigs. Like that's for the PS5. That's a quarter of the memory.
It's a quarter gun, and it's a popular game. It's a popular game. So, and it's one of those games that you're playing all the time. So it's not something you're going to finish and then delete. It's not a single player experience. You can say, "Oh, I'm done with this now. I can delete it and install something else."
And Series X, you might download Red Dead Redemption or something like that. It's like, oh yeah, I want to play that again. Well, that's over 100 gigs as well. If you've got a 500 gig console, it's not going to take long to fill that up. Yeah, you got Game Pass, great. You can download 4 games on it. Like it's not going to be, it's not an ideal solution. So like you're right, people are going to be faced with this at some pretty quick, and they're going to have to make it a simple solution and an affordable solution relatively quick.
I guess one advantage to Microsoft will be xCloud.
True.
For Game Pass. Again, it's not going to fix the issue for most gamers, but some people will be able to go, oh, I'll just stream this game. We're not going to stream every game. You're not going to be streaming Call of Duty. It's you needs to be installed on your SSD hard drive. And I'm sure Sony with PS Now, they'll push that a little bit as well. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be an issue, and it's going to be a pretty quick issue. I think within 6 months, people are going to be looking to expand memory or getting sick of copying games back and forth. But if we're looking at 1 terabyte drive or 800 gigabytes, give or take, it doesn't really matter. We're looking at about 15 games roughly before we're, maybe less if you're into your FIFAs and your Maddens and your Call of Duties and your Red Deads and Grand Theft Autos. They take up a lot of space, a lot of assets are there. So it's going to be an issue for all of us, and we're all going to struggle together. Unless you're rich and you can just afford to buy another SSD and just slot it in there. Good on you. But yeah, most people are not going to be able to afford $350 after they've already spent $750 on a console.
Well, that's what I'm trying to remember. Like, I think the only reason I did that for PS3 and PS4 because they were so easy to do. It was literally open it up, pull the old drive out, put the new one in, and then it would do a quick formatting thing for you, and then that's it, done. And I don't honestly remember, but I feel like my drive for PS4 might have been like $100 something, maybe max 150. I can't remember it, which was expensive but doable. But at 350, 400, oof, that's
pricey, isn't it? And Microsoft done this before. We keep forgetting the Xbox 360. You had to pull the hard drive off the side and slap a new one on. 60 gig, 120 gig. I managed to do the mod and get the big one and just put my own in there in the slot and did it myself. It's one of those things where it's, what Microsoft's doing is probably a little bit smarter than Sony. I know you said it was easy for you. If you go read an article on PlayStation upgrading hard drive, that's the biggest asked question because the general mum has no idea how to put a PC hard drive into a PlayStation and thinks they shouldn't have to open the console up to do it. I think it's easy. I don't think it's hard, personally. I think it's very easy, but I was surprised when, that was the biggest thing. And I copped it when I worked at JB Hi-Fi every day. My son wants to upgrade his hard drive to his PlayStation 3. He did it on his 360 because I bought it off the shelf, but apparently I need to go to a computer shop. That's where they get confused. And they can buy any hard drive they want. You just got to take it out, put the new one in, format, and what you get. It's not hard, but it is hard for some people that are not tech savvy, so to speak. But I can see why Sony went that route, because they got burnt in the past. And once you get bitten by the dog, you don't want to go back again, do you?
No, that's true.
Pat that dog again. So
Okay. All right. Well, I think I understand a little bit better, what an SSD is and how that's going to affect sort of the gaming world moving forward.
I mean, go watch the Medium and see how it works. There's two things happening on the screen at once.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Really cool. Yeah.
Again, as long as you've got an SSD, it doesn't need to be super duper duper fast. It just needs to be a decent speed SSD. Away you go. The gaming changes completely. Your load times, you're going to be spending more time playing your games than sitting there watching it load. Obviously the Switch has terrible loading times. How long did it take Ori to load for you the other day?
No, it was minimum 90 seconds. I'm certain of it.
And it doesn't sound like a long time.
Beautifully once it's there.
Yeah.
But that initial load time. Oh my God, that was terrible. Yeah.
No, we don't have to experience that anymore. So,
and that was off a cartridge, even.
That's exactly. So, and they run pretty quick. So, next gen, it's going to have some perks, and the perks are loading times, multiple save states, playing multiple games at the same time, and new environments that we can pop in and out of, loading assets much quicker than before, and smaller file sizes.
Sounds good to me. All right. Well, what do you guys think? Are you excited for these new SSDs? Are you going to upgrade them? Is this something that you're considering, or is that price tag a little bit much to swallow? Why don't you let us know in the comments below?
Yeah, I think I'll be upgrading a little bit later, guys, but let us know when you're using an upgrade, and subscribe, like, and share away, please. See you guys.
Bye.